Good morning here from Pleasure Beach Resort in Blackpool. We are here for 2 days and we're going to explore all the big roller coasters in this park, like for example the big one, hopefully fingers crossed if it's open, because it's easily closing when it's windy. It's not windy today, so hopefully that will be okay. Anyway, there's I think around 11 roller coasters here in this park which we want to do, and let's see what coaster in Blackpool is actually the best one here and which one is not. And of course at the end also see how these coasters here in Blackpool rank compared to the other parks and coasters we already did in the UK. So what is UK's best roller coaster and what is Blackpool's best roller coasters? Let's see. During a 2-week trip, I finally got to explore the biggest parks and roller coasters in the UK, and in this series I'm focusing on one thing: what is the UK's best roller coaster? In today's episode we're checking out the coasters at Pleasure Beach Resort. We entered the park. We are in Pleasure Beach in Blackpool with a cool view on the big one. And because we saw it already riding or testing, we're going, sorry for the music, we're going straight for the big one because we know it easily closes when it's windy and we're close to the sea, so it can get windy here. So let's go straight to the big one to experience this big coaster. It's the second biggest coaster in the UK after Hyperia opened in Thorpe Park. So I'm very curious to experience this one. Oh my god, the big one here? What the hell? Are there actually people in the UK or anywhere in the world that think this ride is good? Because if there are people like that, seriously, what happened to you? This ride is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It's one of the worst coasters I maybe did. Okay, maybe not one of the worst. It's so unsmooth, it's so bumpy, it doesn't really have any airtime. It's just a really, really bumpy, unsmooth ride. It's, my god, really. I'm in shock. I'm absolutely in shock. This ride is so bad. My god. It was fun, but it was just really, really bad. I have no words for this, really. At this moment, yeah, of course, at the #1 spot here in Blackpool, because we only did one ride here. But I'm pretty sure that's going to change, because this one is not a good ride. Now, next one we're doing here at the other side of the big one, it's Steeplechase. Let's do this one. And after 2 rides on Steeplechase, I can safely say, what a weird ride. It's a very, very unique thing, but just strange and very, very weird. But really, it's such a shaky ride. You're not really very comfortable on that old, yeah, let me show it. Yeah, on those horses here. You just have a seat belt and that's it. It's just a very weird ride. It's fun, but you really have to hold on at some moments in some turns and such. Now, as you can see, only the red and the green track are open. The yellow track is not open today. Maybe tomorrow, we'll see. But anyway, we did 2 rides on this one. That's enough for today. But not the best ride in this park. Well, how does it rank? Let's see later. But first, let's do Revolution. Alright, I think I did the most fun ride here at Blackpool already from the 4 rides we did. Revolution here, a really fun coaster. It was very unexpected because it's just a straight track, then a drop, a loop, and then actually just the whole thing backwards. But it's really fun because this thing here has a lot of airtime. You really fly out of your seat, which is very unexpected. The loop is okay forwards. Then the backwards part, the drop is also a little bit okay with a little bit of airtime. The loop is quite forceful backwards actually. And then going up again, you have another really fun airtime moment. But really this moment here that's really amazing. At this moment, in my opinion, the most fun ride yet, which we did already here in Blackpool. So, ranking at this moment, at number 1 spot, Revolution. Actually, at the number 2 spot, in my opinion, Steeplechase, and at number 3, the big one, because the big one really was so terrible, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the ranking might change with all the other coasters we'll still have to do. But that's the ranking so far. Next one we're doing the Blue Flyer. And after a ride here on Blue Flyer, I think I can say that it's a bit more fun than Steeplechase in my opinion. It doesn't do a lot, but it's just a fun, nostalgic wooden coaster with really like the guy in the station really has to brake manually with those sticks kind of thing. It's very funny. The trains are also very small, very cramped, especially if you're in the ride with 2 next to each other. But it's a fun ride for kids. It's a fun family ride, definitely enjoyable. So in my opinion, at this moment we have at first spot Revolution, second spot we have Blue Flyer, third spot we have Steeplechase, and fourth spot still the worst ride in this park. Sorry for all the lovers of Big One, but Big One is at this moment still at last spot. Next one we're doing is this one here, another wooden coaster, the Nickelodeon Streak. Alright, Nickelodeon Streak here, very fun wooden coaster actually. It's also a pretty old one because they also have to brake manually on this thing and such. But it's a very fun one. It's a lot bigger than the Blue Flyer we did. Blue Flyer we did earlier. But it's a very fun and very smooth wooden coaster actually in my opinion. I was pretty surprised by that because it's an old one. I thought it was going to be pretty bumpy, but it's a pretty smooth ride actually. Here you see the train. I'm not sure what the manufacturer is of this wooden coaster. It's a pretty old one, so I guess the manufacturer doesn't even exist anymore. Or maybe it does, I don't know, I really don't know. But anyway, I really enjoyed this one. So at this moment, at the second spot, right above Blue Flyer and right beneath Revolution. And I have to say I'm quite surprised that at this moment Revolution is still holding up really well. But there are some other rides that might take the numbers 1 spot, like for example Icon. I'm not sure about Infusion. Anyway, let's see. Okay, we did already 5 coasters in almost 1 hour and 15 minutes, which is crazy by the way. I thought we would be quite limited in time, but apparently it's not. Anyway, next one we're doing is a ride I'm not really looking forward to, which is Infusion here, a standard Vekoma SLC coaster. The ones I already did are quite rough quite painful and not really very comfortable. But let's see how this one compares to the other ones I did and to all the other rides in this park so far. Alright, we did Infusion here. Like I said earlier, it's a standard SLC coaster. It's as bad as all the other ones I did. It's so bad. It's really so bad. Anyway, the layout of the ride is fun, but just the restraints on this thing, I really bang my head against these things all the times with all these SLCs. I really prefer the trains, the newer trains from Vekoma with the like the STC coasters with the lap bars. This one, I really hate this model. I really hate these standard SLC models, really. Now, how does Infusion rank here compared to the 5 other coasters we did so far? So we did 6 coasters. Well, the ones that love the big one, I'm going to do you guys a favor, because Infusion is not better than the big one. So at this moment, the big one is not on the last spot anymore, but on the second to last spot, and Infusion is on the last spot in my opinion, because really, I'm really not a fan of SLC coasters from Vekoma. They're so bumpy, so unsmooth, so rattly. I really don't like them. Next coaster we're doing is probably going to be very different, which is Icon, a mech launch coaster. I'm not sure if it's a multi-launch coaster or just a launch coaster. Anyway, let's just do probably a better ride than all the ones we did so far. Or maybe not, we'll see. Not so sure what to think of this ride actually. It's I'm really not sure what to think of this. It's such a strange mech coaster. It has some fun moments. It has some little airtime moments, but it's not really powerful. The forces are very average on this thing. The launches are, yeah, just really mech launches. They're not very powerful. But just the whole layout is, it's like, okay, it's fun, it's okay-ish, but it's nothing memorable or nothing powerful or nothing very thrilling or very wow. I was not blown away by this coaster at all. It's very average in my opinion. So is this one better than Revolution? Difficult to say actually. I think at this moment it's right beneath Revolution, because I actually, in my opinion, enjoyed Revolution more than this one. This one was pretty average in my opinion. And from the mech launch coaster Icon, we're going straight for something completely else again, which is the Grand National, another wooden coaster. There are a lot of wooden coasters in this park and a lot of nostalgic rides, and this one is also one of them. So let's do the Grand National. Is this Grand National coaster better than all the other coasters we did so far? Well, after riding it 2 times, one time the right side, one time the left side, I can safely say no, it's not the best ride here in this park. It's a very bumpy wooden coaster. Don't get me wrong, it's still a fun experience, but it's so bumpy, it's so rough. I kind of felt it in my head afterwards. Now, where does it rank compared to all the other coasters? At this moment, I would say it's better than Blue Flyer, but it's not as good as Nickelodeon Streak, in my opinion. It has a lot more like airtime moment and a lot more speed to it, but it's just the roughness and the bumpy moment on the ride kind of make it a bit painful, in my opinion. So yeah, Nickelodeon Streaker was a lot smoother, a lot more enjoyable in my opinion. We still have a few more coasters to do, which is Avalanche, but that one is not open unfortunately at the moment. Hopefully tomorrow, fingers crossed. Same for the Big Dipper, also not open today. And we also have Enso, which is the turning seats at the last row of Icon. We're not sure if we're going to do that one, but we'll see in tomorrow or today, we'll see. Anyway. And to end our first day here, we're going to ride the last coaster, which is open today, because like I said, the Big Dipper is not open. But Avalanche is open again, after some technical issues earlier today. So we're going to ride Avalanche. And with that, we did the last coaster of today, which is Avalanche, a Mac bobsled coaster. I have to admit, it's a very short bobsled coaster, but it's actually the best one from Mac I did so far. It's quite short, but quite fast actually, quite speedy, and it has some cool turns and really fast transitions at some point. It's really a fun one actually. I was really surprised by that one. At this moment, I think this is my third favorite ride in this park. Okay, we ended the day with another re-ride on the big one. This time the front seat. We actually had the very last train of the day, by the way. And I gotta admit, I'm going to change my opinion on this one, because the front seat was way better than our first ride earlier today. It was it's still a bumpy ride, but it's way smoother and way more enjoyable in the front actually. Actually this time I really enjoyed the ride, So changing my ranking a little bit, the big one, after that second ride, I'm going to put it way higher. I'm going to put it at the third spot. So at 1 we have Revolution, at 2 we have Icon, and at 3 we have the big one. But tomorrow is another day in this park. We're going to re-ride these coasters again. He's not very happy about it because all these rides are quite bumpy, quite painful or somehow. Anyway, we're going to ride them again tomorrow, so the ranking might change again after some more re-rides, but we'll see. Anyway, let's get back let's get back to the hotel, and I'll see you in 1 second on the next day. Okay, and after a few seconds we're back here in It's Blackpool Pleasure Beach, no, Pleasure Beach Resort actually nowadays. We're here for a second day. We're going to re-ride a lot of the rides we did yesterday. Matthias is very excited still. But we're going to check out all these rides again, see if the ranking still remains the same. And apparently today, fingers crossed, hopefully, the Big Dipper here is going to be open. But yeah, we're not sure yet. We still have to see. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But it seems it's going to open later today, so great news. We are also going to see, maybe to experience Enso, which is the turning seats at the end of the train of Icon. Maybe that will change our opinion of Icon, we'll see. So for our first ride, we're going to wait here at the entrance of Big Dipper until it opens. We already saw some people standing in the station, staff people of course. And at the sign at the entrance, it didn't say closed. Yesterday it said closed. Today it says the opening times from 11 till 5. So we're pretty sure it's going to open in 5 minutes. So let's wait for the Big Dipper, which is a wooden roller coaster. It's more than 100 years old, because I think last year it was 100 years old. So it's really like a very nostalgic wooden coaster. And I'm very curious about this one. Will this be as bumpy as some of the other wooden nostalgic coasters here in this park? Let's see. Okay, we did the Big Dipper. I'm in shock. I'm absolutely in shock. This thing is so wild and so rough. It has some airtime, that's the positive thing. But just these trains, they bump over the track. It's so rough. It's so unsmooth. It's so uncomfortable. At some moment I was like, what is even happening? It is really very clear that this is an old coaster, but if I have to compare it with Nickelodeon Streak, for example, Nickelodeon Streak was butter smooth compared to this thing. This was rough as hell. So in my opinion, I'm going to put it at the second to last place, because I'm still not a fan of Infusion, but this one had some airtime, so that's a positive thing compared to Infusion in my opinion. But really, it may be a monument here, it may be a very nostalgic ride for some people, but it's so painful as hell. Not that good. Alright, and now we're going to do the last experience here. We're going to do Icon again, but not just Icon, we're going to do Enso actually, which is the paid version of Icon with the turning seats at the end of the train. It was should have been open at 11:30. There was some delay. In the end, it opened eventually, and we booked a seat for Enso. So we're going to experience Icon again, but with spinning seats, which is really going to be very different, I believe, than Icon itself. So let's see. We did Enso, now the spinning seats at the end of the Icon train. I personally liked it very much. He didn't think it was an added value for the ride. I personally, I enjoyed it. It was, in my opinion, a bit more fun than Icon. It added an extra dimension with the spinning and such. I also had some moments where especially in the second part, after the second launch, there was a bit more spinning. I enjoyed it, but yeah, it's yeah, I guess it depends on how your ride is or something, or I don't know. But anyway, in my opinion, it made Icon a little bit better. Doesn't mean that Icon is suddenly a really great ride, because it's still like a pretty average Mac coaster. But yeah, if you want to have a little bit more of a different experience, maybe you can try Enso. Maybe you will like it, or maybe not as much. That's of course everyone's opinion. So we did all the rides at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and this is the final ranking of the park. We did a lot of re-rides today on our second day here. We also did the Big Dipper and Enso, like I told you earlier. Some rides like the Big Dipper and Grand National, I have to admit, our first rides were very bumpy, very rough, but our second rides on, yeah, we were I guess situated more on the wheels on the first ride, while on the second re-rides we were not really situated on the wheels in the cars, so those were a little less bumpy, a little less rough, but still my ranking of all the coasters in Blackpool is not changing. So at this moment, still Revolution stays on top, Icon at second place, and the big one at the third place. Now, how do these coasters rank in my UK ranking? Well, at this moment, Revolution is at the second spot in the ranking, but the second one from Blackpool is at the sixth spot at this moment, so it's not in the top 5. But anyway, still Revolution, really love this. But at this moment, still on the first spot, Sick in Flamingo Land. But there is another coaster which we actually did already the day when we arrived here at Blackpool, the evening actually when we arrived at Blackpool. We also did this one here, South Pier, and here at South Pier is one roller coaster located, which we also did. I didn't have any videos of it earlier, but let me show it to you now. This coaster here, the Crazy Coaster, is also situated here in Blackpool. We did this one, like I told, on our first evening when we arrived. It's, for those wondering, yeah, you can already see it. It's a standard Reversion spinning coaster, a Wild Mouse kind of coaster. It's not that spectacular, but it's a fun one. We spun around quite a lot on this ride. It was really cool. Also, the fact that it's located on a pier with you can't really see it from here, but you have the cool view over the sea here, the Irish Sea. You have the beach there, obviously, as we're on a pier, but it's a really cool environment. And a fun fact here, this coaster actually used to be in Belgium for a few years during the winter opening of Plopsaland de Panne, which is also pretty cool. It's just funny because I'm from Belgium. Anyway, doesn't matter. Now, is this coaster better than any of the other coasters we did? No, it's not. It's not even in the top 5. It's not that special. But anyway, we did it. I included it in the ranking, but it's definitely not a top 5. Anyway, let's get back to our hotel. Tomorrow we're going to visit another really big park here in the UK, a park we're really looking forward to because of the very famous coasters, and that is obviously Alton Towers. So the next 2 days we're in Alton Towers, but that's for another video. See ya!